I am Suren. I intend to continue with this intriguing subject of finding oneself in the real world. However, sadly, there are people who prefer to live their lives in fantasy and not in reality, and choose to be in opposition to any suggestion like finding or rediscovering one's own self in the real world and having the key to personal freedom without being dependent on anything or anyone, and courageously living one's own life. They are the ones who would judge anything without even looking into it. But let's not worry about it. The Upanishads declare the truth of Atman is revealed when a qualified aspirant, instructed by an illumined teacher, practices the disciplines of self-control, meditation, and inwardness of mind. Some pathways devote you to a guru or even a god. Texts go, however, a little further. Worship the guru until you know the guru is yourself. Halaj said, I am God. This way, the dependency seems to be turned around. Renunciation, acceptance, selflessness, all those notes are played on different instruments, but yielding the same or similar kind of melody. Change your goal, and your world changes. Change your inner attitude, the whole purpose of your life changes. Body-mind obeys your commands, no matter what. Set your goals to act or acquire. Time enables prediction. Symbols fill awareness, and plans are created. The self is built to focus on the plan. The sensual is set aside, and now there is only one thing to do. Change the goal and shift to being. Receive the world and be nourished. Once the self is subsided, the world enters, and this is when judgments fall away. Breathing slows down. Beyond fear and pleasure, now is. All questions are answered, for questions have disappeared, as they are the product of action mode and of a different world. The mode of being, the receptive mode, serves a different function. It's not higher or more spiritual. In fact, it is like only breathing in, and as you know, half a breath cycle is not enough. We need both to keep living. You don't have to learn to breathe, since your body knows how to do it, and it certainly knows the way to another world. Creative work is a door for many people, And to be creative, we might need to stop, lay off, sit back, and take our chances while letting the thing flow. No matter what we are doing, there always is something in all of us that does it better than we can consciously do. And we are very much satisfied, even fulfilled. It doesn't need to be great moments, and they can be just so small things, some things no one else would know or notice. Furthermore, we can never make the self go altogether, as it always hovers nearby. We tend to take that tiny moment and cash it in to keep playing our usual games. Was it not great? I should do it more often, and I can make more money. Spiritual materialism may infest the land like a virus. During those moments, we don't disappear, and neither the world goes hiding, but it feels different. Fantasies are gone, symbols are not anymore there, the net covering the world has been removed, and you are free, and everything is complete. Just imagine. In that moment, you are the world, and you are it. Enlightenment? Not yet. No. But it's a step through a door. Looking for help, probably being somewhat ignorant, you may jump in, but you may have taken some of your old habits with you, completely unawares, one of which is dependency. In fact, many so-called spiritual schools are for the dependent. Dependency greed may have found a home. Now, there are many mantras, prayers, lots of kneeling. Satchitananda. Did you also get zapped by Muktananda? He's better than Guru Maharaji. Did you know that? Spiritual schools are still schools, which have teachers who become parents to learners, who become children. If you're familiar, what Buddha said is quite interesting. One is one's own refuge. Who else could be the refuge? Dogen said, to study Buddhism is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened by the 10,000 dharmas. The list of 7 deadly sins usually leaves out the worst one. For if you really want to know the reality and act in it, dependency may do you in. Probably it is not listed, as it often is hidden, occupying our perceptions. Dependency is more subtle and disguised than that. It is the desire to have parents again. Well, kind of parents. To start, dependency is a fantasy where the parents always know what you should do, while they give you what you want and need. And who could be the parents of our adult years, do you think? Anyone will do. Husband, wife, boss, neighbors, police officers, the company, even doctors, lawyers, senators, many kneel before them. Dependency is a disease, an insidious fantasy of power. This disease has symptoms also. Let me tell you: helplessness, envy, vanity, jealousy, admiration, blaming, exploitation, and reproach. Remember, you are supposed to love me no matter what I do, for I have done my part. See, submission, feeling frightened. Consider the justified anger. I cannot do it anymore, but I have no choice, have I? So give me what I need. Perhaps you thought you left it all on the back burner. Alas, you did not. It's like leaving home, but remaining still in your lounge room unawares. It is most difficult to leave yet. We all must. Dependency has also become very commercial. It's like transactions from morning till night. Then should one be never cared for and at peace? It's a matter of self-trust, and you do not need elements of dependency acting as your parents. Pretending you are helpless, imagining you are small, feeling needy for protection, you may scare yourself. When summoned a new set of parents, you become more fearful, creating the sense of loneliness. You may be paying with greed, and the fantasy of needfulness turns pleasure into possession and power into tyranny. You may pay with vanity. You may want to be special and attractive. It's like competition to the death to win the prize. Fame entices you in the hope that all-out war will capture population. You may have summoned angels to provide and find yourself with vampires feeding their own vanity by possessing you. You gather money, which may mean more pleasure, except that when and if it's too often done, it fades away, and so you find instead the death of pleasure. So the house becomes emptier than when you began. That emptiness is born of your abstractions, and the fantasy of emptiness engenders fear. That fear drives you into the future, and the satisfaction of now recedes and disappears. Dependency exacts a further price. It murders creativity. Like in the childhood days, in adult years too, the dark world of the unknown mind can be very scary. In order to create, one needs to move forward into what one cannot see and urge it into being. Remember, to be dependent, you stay a child. To stay a child, you stop reality's forward motion. Information needed for creation is made to pass a sensor, whose job is preservation. This way, the past is reinforced to keep now from flowing. To keep a fantasy Do not look at the world closely. Your creative strength, turned away, is aimed inside to juggle fantasies to solve the problems of a child's intrigue. This may be why the questions like, who am I? What am I? Are rarely asked. Dependency destroys us, for it's the unknown which gives us life and carries us to continuously forming edge of the world, wherein light, beauty, and ecstasy are found. There is no other way to the spiritual, creative, and to the reality. The creative life finds its own path. In the West, at least, we have the science of psychology and have learned of motivation and defense. We can provide assistance for the disqualified. Fact is that no external role can free us from dependency because it can adapt to any form. Dependency is inside, hidden in motivations. We tend to mistrust the natural energy and are convinced we must control it. Fearing ourselves, we fear the world and search for those who can control us and it and them. When younger, we may think our parents were causing us pain, but by creating some meaning, we tend to master this. But that meaning has only two compartments, good and bad. However, the parents are the world for us. My parents cannot be bad. Am I bad, perhaps? Well then, there may be some hope after all, as the badness can be controlled. When anxiety is calmed, assault from outside mobilizes anger to repel the threat. When the enemy is outside, that anger can be released. By telling oneself, I am the bad one, the anger becomes entrapped and breeding mistrust of self. Guess what else happens? From the cauldron of that anger, demons emerge and monsters stalk the cellars of our minds. We, mature, watchful of misshapen creatures, locked in secret rooms. The hidden anger is denied later to be projected into the outside world and perhaps to the safer targets, and paranoia becomes our basic tool. One cannot trust the world. We need a leader. Dependency thrives on fear. Letting go, however, means giving up control, allowing something else to be in charge. But it requires trust, and that can be withheld. Holding on to what is past, we turn to face behind us, witnessing departures. Letting go allows the wheel of life to turn, permitting change. Letting go is not weakness, as we have been told often enough. We have the science of psychology, as I said before, as in the West, and it can show you, us, the truth by applying psychotherapy. And that is what we are going to examine next. I shall be waiting for you by the next episode. Thank you. Keep smiling. And most importantly, be happy.